We're back to the Neil Haley Show here on the Caregiver Dave Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome to the program Caregiver Dave Nassaney. Dave, what's going on, man?
Hey, just living the good life, don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but it's good stuff.
No, see, we're not talking, tomorrow's going to bring even better stuff. That's how we're going to look at things. And we're going to manifest that right now. But my guest today is Tanya Christensen. She's going to talk about the mulligan, but I want to learn about her acting career and different things like that. We were talking off air about, golfing and stuff. And maybe she gave me an idea. Again, one of my number one talent is ideation. Maybe I should see if, my clients that I'm looking to attract are on the golf course. Let's just see, and we'll find out. Tanya, thanks for stopping by. How are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful. I really appreciate you having me this evening. It's a treat to be invited.
Exactly. No, it's kind of funny when you talk about golf. One of my now focuses, I'm going to work more with sports professionals, former sports athletes, and I'm sure they all golf. So maybe you've already come up with something, and maybe I need to be hitting some golf balls right after this interview. So let's kind of talk about specifically enough your career. Did you always want to be an actor, Tanya?
Yes, ever since, when you're a little teeny tot, and people always say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I think it's the number one question that adults ask children. And it was always, I'm going to be an actress. That's what I always said. And I started off little in community theater, church plays, school plays, and I would just go for it and do it. And I had no reservations, wasn't shy at all. Slowed down a little bit in middle school because school plays turned into musicals and I can't sing and I wasn't in the mood to just be a tree. And then it just picked back up again. I went to the University of Tennessee, and when I graduated, I couldn't find a degree. First of all, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do because I always wanted to act, but I never really thought I'd be able to do it. If that makes any sense. I lived in Tennessee. I don't know anyone in the industry, so I was just. My mom was like, just pick a major and get out. And then I finally graduated, and I was looking through the paper because that's what you did back then. I'm a little older, and there was a little teeny ad, and it said on air talent wanted, and I was like, this could be good or this could be very, very bad, but I'm going to go ahead and make that phone call. And it was for a shopping network, and so I was a host for 3 years doing that, and that's kind of how it all started. And from there I got an agent and did commercials and kind of went from there.
And I already can tell you that on-air thing, you're like a pitch person in a way, right? What were you selling on air doing that stuff?
What wasn't I selling? I guess we did, and I'm still doing it today. I'm a guest at HSN, the Home Shopping Network in St. Pete.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I do that. I have a product that I do in the fall for that, a boot. But gosh, when I started, we did coins, collectible porcelain dolls, jewelry, exercise equipment, you name it. There's a lot of stuff that those things sell. So you name it, I sold it, and it was it's not acting, but it definitely got me comfortable in front of the camera. Learn how to place the body, learn how to speak, kind of improv because it's not scripted. You have a couple of little bullet points. The chain is 18 inches long, it's 14 karat gold, and I'll sell it for 25 minutes.
Right, exactly.
So you kind of have to make up stories and romance it. So that's kind of where it all started, I guess.
See, I love this when I'm hearing this, because again, this is something that, you think about how you sell something, and it's not voiceover, because you're not doing voiceover work. You really have to provide a sense of acting to let them know you sell a product. I think voice acting and what you do in HSN is a totally different game. Can you define that? Then I'll let Dave have another question. It just interests me always about that impromptu. You get on there, you got to tell a story. It's almost like you're creating the brand story of anyone that wishes they had your mindset. Meaning, if you're selling a product or service, if you're trying to market a book, or you're trying to do something, you have to tell a story, and you have to make people want that product. So what do you think is the difference between a voice actor doing it and someone pitching something on HSN or one of the home shopping networks?
They're really just two different animals. I've also done voiceovers and voice acting. I've done a lot of infomercials for, if you're ever in Italy and you hear this voice, I do a lot of infomercial voiceovers. That's just totally different ball game. I've done books as well. I've done things for the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, a lot of voiceover work. But you're right, when you're responsible for a product, and now because I'm a guest, I'm in charge of the product. I'm very much features and benefits. But when I was hosting, it was call to action. It was romancing. It was bringing the customer into my living room. So I'm not pitching because that's gross. And it's kind of a turnoff. I want to tell you, and I will find, and I don't care what it is, I will find the good in something. You know what I mean? Even if there's like a little.
That's the skill set. Like when I interview so many people, 8,000 plus I've interviewed, Dave, or I don't have lost track, each week it's a different amount. I've learned, you're trying to carry a conversation. You're not to be the star. You're supposed to be entertaining. You got to ask the right question and you got to move on. And that's what you do. And I'm like, well, that's the easiest interview. All right, Dave, I'll throw a question to you now. What do you want to ask Tanya before we get to the mulligan?
Well, I'm assuming if you're starring in a movie called Mulligan, that you must know a lot about golf. Now, I don't know if Will Smith knew a lot about golf when he did Bagger Vance, but tell me your story.
Okay. What's interesting is I don't know a lot about golf. However, a long time ago, I'm going to say maybe 8 years ago, I auditioned for this golf commercial, and then you had to dress the part, and they said, "Well, do you play golf?" And I just go, "Who doesn't?" So I didn't
like
lie. I live
that.
in Florida. Who doesn't? And I booked the job. And I was like, oh my gosh, my husband golfs. So I said, okay, all I need is a good swing. So we went, and I worked until I got that good swing. So no, I don't know a lot about golf, but I do find myself in certain situations, I become just a big sponge, and I just sit and I just soak it up, and I don't feel the need to be wrung out. I don't need to give anything back. So that's kind of what I did during that commercial. And during the Mulligan, it is heavy golf. We filmed in the Currahee Club in Toccoa, Georgia, and Currahee Club is a character in the movie in and of itself because it's so beautiful. Right. Even if you don't golf, go. But I didn't golf in the movie. So it's kind of interesting. I'm not on the golf course. I didn't golf. That was for Pat Boone and Eric Close, who plays my husband, Paul McAllister in the movie. So it's rather interesting. When they were doing all the golf scenes, I was actually running the golf paths because I'm a runner. So I would run the course. That I can do.
Yeah, that's a good golfer, isn't he?
Okay, so.
Oh, he's great.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
He and Eric are both amazing.
I've had
really
Pat on my show, and I interviewed Debbie a couple months ago. So, and it was interesting to talk to Debbie. She was, what a delight she was, for sure. And I ended up only doing for radio because she says, well, I'm not doing Zoom. I said, well, I take time to prepare. I said, okay, Debbie, another time you have to come on a TV show. So let's kind of jump into the Mulligan, your character, a little bit more in depth. First, the premise and the character. And I'm sure I want to go back to some of your other acting experiences as well, because you're a delight. You're exactly the easiest ones to interview because you know how to be on camera. You know how to have a conversation with somebody. And that's not always the easiest thing to do. This is something where we can take the day off, Dave, and just let Tanya talk the whole time. Go ahead.
That is actually a compliment. And I sometimes I will do something and someone says it's not scripted, or you make it seem easy, and that's the biggest compliment to me. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'll stumble. Well, we just started, but let's see. What is the Mulligan about? It is, well, a golf term. It's a golf term. I think it's over 100 years old, and it just simply means a do-over, to take a do-over, to have a second chance. And this movie is heavily faith-based. It's a Christian film. Oh. So they pull us in with the Currahee Club and the beauty of golf. And if you're a golfer, you're going to love this because there's some cameos with Tom Lehman and a couple of others are in there. What was that? A kitten?
No, that was my squeaky chair.
Oh, I was like, let me see your cat. So it's heavy in golf, but then the term the Mulligan is a do-over, and it's a faith-based movie, how we all need a do-over, and truly all you have to do is ask. If you're a believer and you just say, Lord, I need a second chance, guess what you get? You get a second chance. So that's what the movie is about. I'm
so glad it's a faith-based movie. There's not enough of those.
I agree.
And good for Pat.
Enough good ones,
Yeah,
they're out there, but really
good ones. Because we're seeing a split in audiences and what people want to watch and what people don't want to watch. There's always going to be an audience for something. And I think
They're
that's
done well, yeah.
the faith base is known. There's an audience that wants to see these kinds of films. And I think that the point, I guess, in this is you relate golf with that mistake, and there you go. And your character, how did you prepare for this character? Because as an actor, you know all the time you got to prepare for a character. Once you got the role, how did you prepare?
It's interesting because I booked this. Okay, we filmed it a year ago, and I booked it right before the world shut down and went into quarantine. And we didn't know what was going on. It was kind of weird out there, but it still wasn't. It was nothing to what it was. It was just kind of weird. So I got the sides, and the sides are basically your audition lines, the scene. But I never got the script, and I had to kind of read between the lines to kind of see what this is about. So I auditioned, and then I got a director session with the director, Michael Seibel, the producer, Rick Eldridge, and also the casting director, Mark Fincannon, was there. And I went in and I did my thing, and I did what I could do. And then I left. And I was just, I kind of threw it out there, and I said, this could be a really good one, And then maybe 3-4 days later, I found out I booked it. So excited. And then the world shut down. And I thought, darn it, and they pushed it a month, then they pushed it 4, then they pushed it, and I never heard anything. And I thought, this is what happens. Movies lose their funding. The stars, Pat Boone, Eric Close, have other projects. They're very, very busy men and actors. And Pat's got his hand in everything, whether he's, songwriting or whatever. So, but then it happened, and they called me and they said, we're ready to go. And I still didn't have the script till about 4 days until I left for Georgia. So the preparation happened fast, but I really, in those 4 scenes that I was given for the audition, I could feel who she was. I could tell that she was a woman. She was a very strong woman that's rich in her faith. One scene was with her husband, and there's some tension there. So I knew how to do that. I've been married 22 years. I know how to do tension. There was redemption and coming back together. That's just beautiful to do. And then there was some interesting dynamics with my son as well. And I'm a mother of 2 children. So it also, I have to say, when something is not written well, I can't get it. I can't get the words. I have a hard time with it. I had it down like that because it's just beautifully written and very relatable. So it was kind of easy to jump right into.
That's great. And the people who are fans of Pat Boone, love golf, they got to go see the film. Now I want to go back, Tanya.
And you would never know it's a faith-based film by the title, which is very clever.
Yes, it's true.
Well, all of them are starting that way, but they're not trying to trick. There is an audience, and that's the thing. It's like there's an audience for HSN, right? Not everyone who watches HSN. Not everyone. There's audiences for everything, and I think what's happened is if you have an idea and you really want to put the work in, and you want to understand it, and you want to build a tribe or community, you can be very prosperous in whatever you do. And that's why a lot of people aren't going to work anymore. They found out their passion and they're not going to go back to work. So we'll have to find out what our country becomes. Everyone is pitching something, right? But, so Tanya, what would you say of the films you were most fond of, or acting experiences you were most fond of? Because you were involved a lot with it, working in the field of that. But what about in acting? Films that like you say, this was an experience that really was my best.
I'm typical, I guess, as a lot of actors are, very, very critical. I just see my work a little differently. I'm like, oh, it's hard, but that's normal. I guess something you just have to deal with. But I think what it comes down to is maybe not necessarily the project. This one's different. The Mulligan's different. I'm so proud of it. And it's just so beautiful. But a lot of times it's not necessarily like, whoa, that's a life changer. It's the people that I'm surrounded by. If I have a great, beautiful script and it is just gross, I'm just surrounded by grossness. I don't want anything to do with it. I come to do my job and I'm out of there. But there are things like even just a little bit of television, that I've done. It's just the people that are there. It's the professionals. It's the leads of the show come up and actually talk to me instead of just, I've been dismissed many, many times. I've been a guest star on a lot of television. It's just like, I don't know, a hello would be nice. And then sometimes you're just welcomed and it's part of the family. And that's actually with the Mulligan, we all came together to do a job and we left as a family.
They're great. And so you'll see with those different opportunities come, but I can tell what you really love is still the being on TV, right? Doing the stuff with HSN and all that.
I do. I love being on HSN. That's just fun because again, you're talking right into a little camera, but you're speaking. I think there are 90 million homes or something. So that's so
It's
fun.
crazy. And the products they're going to sell because people
Yeah.
watch. So
They're gonna sell
if you have
their
a great product or service to sell, what's your tip on getting on HSN?
Oh, now that I get asked that a lot, there are, and I used to maybe wouldn't be able to figure it out because we used to actually go into the studios. And I kind of, it's a campus, it's a world in and of itself. But now since quarantine, I just do it. And I have an audition room, kind of like this is in my closet, but I have an audition room and I just set up and I have a little backdrop and I Skype my show right in. So those relationships have changed a little bit. I don't know. I guess you just have to send an email. I don't know how you get a product on there.
We're going Shark Tank, right? No, which one's
I met the guy that does the Ring doorbell.
Really?
He was in my training class.
Wow.
So he went to Shark Tank and then he got it on HSN. So I guess it's good enough.
So look at me. See, I'm already pitching. So that's it, guys. Get on. You have a product service, go to HSN. And maybe you never know, Tanya. That's another story that you can bring to the table. I think you should have a podcast just on HSN stories and stuff. That'd be interesting.
We should write a movie.
Or write a book.
Or write a book or a movie. Yeah, I don't even know.
A little spoof or something. But I do love it. I have to say my favorite genre is or medium, I should say. I do love television so much. I love television. And that's kind of a goal of mine is to become, like a series regular on a TV show because you're doing a mini movie every week. And then again, you get to know the DP, the director of photography, the good lady at Crafty Services, and it becomes a second family because my family at home is getting smaller and smaller as my children are getting older. And I love my work family.
No, you might be working for Hallmark. They really.
Oh, no, see, that's Eric's. I need to chat with him about that.
Okay, so here's my tip for you. Hallmark is once their kids grow up, the talented women go to Hallmark and work there.
You either get your real estate license or you go work for Hallmark. Yeah, I would love to be the mom on Hallmark, and they need to hurry up or I'm going to be the grandma on Hallmark. So
exactly, but
someone's got to call me.
All right, so Dave has a caregiver question. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I've been a caregiver for 25 years to my wife. She had a headache 25 years ago, lost her speech, became paralyzed on one side. And we struggled for a couple of years, almost broke up, but we hung in there. And I decided I'm going to be Dave, the caregiver's caregiver, help other caregivers not make the same mistakes I did. So I made a lot of them. And my wife decided she was going to do everything she did before. She was like a Martha Stewart Wonder Woman all rolled into one. And she was definitely type A. And she's accomplished her goal. She can do more than most normal people can do with both limbs. She does it with one arm and one leg tied behind her back.
Wow.
And so we've been on television and speaking on stages all across the country. And I'm just sharing my story about how everyone needs to understand that caregiving is on the horizon. It's the tsunami coming. And if you're either going to become one or you're going to need one. So now's the time to learn how to do it. So you're not like me, scratching your head, trying to figure out what happened, Has caregiving been in your life? I mean, I started a website, caregiverdave.com, just to help people prepare for it. It's an online support group for caregivers and for those who are not yet. How has caregiving touched your life?
That's a beautiful story. That's amazing.
Thanks.
Actually, that is beautiful. Me personally, not yet, but as you said, it is the tsunami. It is coming. Every day in America, 10,000 people turn 55 or 65 years old. My grandmother, though, I had my grandmother with me. She's 92 years old. It's I know, I'm fortunate. Not a lot of people can say that, but it's my father's mother, and my aunt, my father's sister, takes care of her, and they live about 3 hours away. So whenever I can, I go up, and I just love to give my aunt the day off for her birthday.
So you're doing caregiving. That's caregiving.
I guess so. She is 24/7, and it's very difficult. My grandmother still has the mind that she can get up and go to the kitchen, and she can't, and she falls a lot, and it's so much on her. So whenever I can, I'll send her to the spa for the day and just sit with my grandmother, and we have Olive Garden because it's her favorite. Her
Oh,
favorite.
if only every caregiver had a friend like you.
Oh, you know what? All they need, because when you're a lot of times caregivers, maybe there's some resentment, and maybe it's hard, but a lot of times you're doing it out of love. If it's your spouse, if it's your parent, you're doing it because you made a promise, or it's just something for you. And I think if one person, if one sibling, if someone would just maybe once a month, once every other week, just say, why don't you go on a date with yourself or your husband or your girlfriend? It would recharge those batteries.
Yep.
And that's not a lot, just kind of giving someone the afternoon off.
But it's unusual that you have the awareness and the ability to understand that. A lot
I
of
think
people
that's sad. That's
they're
unusual.
clueless.
Yeah, that's actually sad, isn't it? That's
So
unusual.
let's see, but Tanya has been
She's a very
on
thoughtful person.
shopping in HSN and all those different shops. She has to learn their people's characteristics, and when they would all call in, right?
Maybe.
Oh, you got to develop that relationship with the call-in. So I'm sure you've been in the different shows back in the day where, hey, someone else is calling in, we bought this thing, and you had to come and tell a story, and you're definitely in a very interesting.
That's why people buy from you, because you're interacting with them.
But she's heading to
your
Hallmark
family,
next.
your-
So Tanya's heading to Hallmark next. She's with Eric, and see, I get this
Eric.
idea, and then there you go. She's heading to Hallmark. So best place we can film, watch the Mulligan. Where can we watch it?
Okay, so right now, April 18th and 19th. So it's next
Oh, cool.
Monday and Tuesday, 7 p.m. It's a small showing, it's a phantom showing. And what you have to do is go to themulliganmovie.com, and you just simply type in your zip code, and then it tells you all the places where it's playing. It's over 1,000 theaters in the country. I think it's mostly AMC and Regal theaters, but it is a small showing because it's, it just
That's
pricey.
what happens to Christian films, small showing.
We're not Marvel, right?
No,
And
and
it's just as expensive to get something in the theaters as it is to make the movie. So if you can go out and support the film, and if we get sold out theaters, then they will extend it. And I think this is a movie that needs to be told. And we always just say, gosh, if just it changes one person,
Yeah.
right? If it just changes one
Exactly.
person and opens up someone's eyes, or maybe it'll be a connection between a husband and a wife. Maybe they'll look at each
Yeah.
other differently. Maybe he'll grab her hand in the movie if they're having marital
Mhm.
problems. Maybe it'll make the son kind of wake up and be nicer to his parents.
Yeah.
I don't know. If it just, maybe it'll turn, someone can turn their life over to Christ. Or maybe you're already there and you just want a wholesome family movie that you can take your grandma to. You're gonna love The Mulligan.
All right, we
There's a
appreciate it.
Regal theater in our town that always runs these Christian films.
Oh, go see it and tell me how
Very
you like it.
supportive.
All right,
Well,
all right,
definitely.
all right. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Dave. See you guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.
And you can follow you, Tanya, all places, right? On social media. I know you're on.
Oh, yeah, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tom.
Mwah.
All right, watching and listening to the Neil Haley Show. We'll be back in just a moment.
And you're sitting on your butt watching TV, and you're surfing for something good. Just grab your remote and follow me to Bethel Park TV. BPTV, BPTV. It's at Comcast 7, Verizon 32, and even on YouTube. Made by Bethel Park residents, it's a little slice of heaven, 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 heaven. Be sure to visit BPTV, BPTV. Be sure to visit BPTV, Bethel Park TV.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show here on the Caregiver Dave Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome to the program Caregiver Dave, Miss Annie. Dave, what's up, man? How are you?
How you doing? Just got back from Philadelphia. Wasn't too far from you.
Yeah, 5 hour
Met
drive.
with Dr. Oz, had a great time. He's running for the Senate. He's going to save this country.
And so I thought he would be the perfect person to run this country because he would make it
Yes.
healthy, keep
He
us
is.
healthy. And that's the thing.
And he's well loved. Everybody will vote for him.
Well, I don't know about that, Dave, but you can.
Emily, you like Dr. Oz, don't you?
That's funny, girl.
I love Dr. Oz. I've just
See,
learned so
everybody
much
loves
about him.
Dr. Oz.
Absolutely. And so our guest today is Emily Aguilar, and she's going to talk about Breeze Bake Off Challenge, but I want to hear about her career as a director and how it all started. Emily, thanks for stopping by. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm good. Thank you, Neil and Dave, for having me. Breeze Bake Off Challenge is my third feature that I wrote and directed, and it is a complete independent production movie. And it got picked up by a major studio platform, HBO Max.
Wow.
And believe it or not, this movie took me 5 years to complete. From writing it in 2017 to now in 2022. So it's been a journey. I will say that.
So let's just jump about the journey. That's great. Always excited about talking about project, but we want to know about, did you always want to be an entertainment director? Was that the thing that you liked, or did you want to act too? How did that all start?
I definitely got into acting in my teenage years, and I started producing my own content. So I got an agent and everything, and my agent actually started treating me like a product. That's basically the acting industry, and I didn't like it. And so the advice that I was given was, hey, you need to produce your own content if you want to get meaningful roles. As a Latin woman, I would get either waitress or, Latin little kid running around, like things like that as a teenager. And so my advice was that, like, just, hey, like, produce your own content. So I started producing, and I started becoming known as a producer. And I got into film school. I went to Loyola Marymount University in LA. And this is just crazy. They were like, you need to direct and write a short film because it's part of the curriculum. And honestly, I was like, no, I don't write or direct. Like, I've never done that. Like, do I have to? And they were like, yeah, because you're a production major. And so at that point, I've never honestly produced for a woman, and let alone like produce anything for myself. And it was a crazy experience, but that is truly when I fell in love with directing. And I also wrote and directed and produced it. And I just fell in love with it. And directing is honestly the best thing ever. Like, my vision, whatever was in my brain, came onto screen. So that's how that started.
Now, you look like a teenager. How old were you when all this started?
No
And were your
worries.
parents supportive of all that?
Yes, so I'm not afraid to tell you my age. I am
Oh, good.
I'm currently 28, and when I
Okay.
filmed Breeze Bake Off Challenge, I was 24 years old, and I filmed it at 24. How many filmmakers do you know that have made 3 features? So I think, yeah.
So what is your secret sauce of being successful as a filmmaker? Just starting out, where they discovered you in Loyola Marymount and just kept growing from there. What do you think that makes you, especially when you wanted to act, you always wanted to be in front of the camera, not behind the camera? What do you think?
Well,
What are those essentials that are coming that you have?
I think it comes down to 2 things, which is what my parents taught me. One of them is hard work. You got to grind and you got to hustle. And I definitely don't take no for an answer. If someone tells me no, you just move on to the next. And I quickly learned that with acting. It's a numbers game. You just have to keep going. And, whatever happens, if one door closes, another opens. The other thing that I think is truly helpful is getting a really good support system. So I will say I am the youngest of 4, and I'm the youngest daughter, the youngest sibling. And so all my siblings, all my parents, my family members, they all really support me, and even my friends. And if I do have a friend or someone that is like questioning what I do, I say, hey, this is what I want to do, and can you please respect that? So I put those boundaries early on, and like, this is what I want to do. And if like no one changed my mind.
Yeah, you're very
So,
brave, very brave.
Thank you.
How do you overcome fear? Because a lot of people in the industry, they're afraid, and here you are. Loyola Marymount is forcing you to do something, and well, I've never done that before. I'm sure you were afraid. and you were fearful. How did you overcome that fear? Because that's the thing that sabotages most people trying to get in this industry.
Yes. How do you overcome fear? You just do it anyways. I was so
Do it
scared.
afraid.
You do it afraid, literally. And it's kind of like, I love that phrase, like fearless. The fear is still there, but you fear less and you do it
Wow.
anyways. So when I'm actually from the East Coast, from Virginia, so not too far from you guys. And I moved to Los Angeles when I was 18 by
I'm
myself.
in LA now.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So you're fine.
I know where Loyola is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And yeah, so moving to LA by myself at 18 years old was a humongous shock to my family. I mean, everyone went to school out here on the East Coast,
Sure.
and I, the youngest one, said, "Hey, I'm going to go to California." And they really just supported me. They all flew me out there and dropped me off, and supported me. And to this day, they're still really big supporters. And that big your circle, like your close circle of friends, need to be supportive, because this is really hard. Filmmaking is really difficult, and you guys are entertainers and entrepreneurs, like the hustle. It's
Yeah.
all intertwined with all of that. So
No, you're right about that. And then there's ups and downs in the entrepreneurship. Business owner is basically, some days are great, other days are horrible. And a lot of people that are not in an industry like yours and mine, they don't get it. They don't
Yeah.
understand it. They don't understand, well, why just have a good job and know what's predicted and deal with the grind and that's it? Well, we just want something more. We want something that makes us passionate, and also makes us know there's a challenge ahead every day. So when you talk about your two first films,
yeah.
what makes Bree take off more? What do you think? Because I know every film we create, every interview we do, every project, every book we write, as Dave's written all these books, written an article, we say, hey, we love that about the same, but one takes off. So tell me, specifically, what do you think was the difference? Or do you think it's now you're known? If you would have been known before, those could have taken off as well to the level of Bree.
Oh my gosh, there is a humongous difference. So my first two films were shoestring, and it was one of those things where I was super scared to even like embark on a feature film. Like, a feature film was a really big deal. And again, I got pushed by my family and my friends and, my mentors to do it. And I did it with as little resources as possible. Like, shoestring budget films is exactly that. Like, just imagine a shoestring, and like whatever you have, you just make your movie. And so my first two, just because of the circumstances and the things that had happened, I shot them back to back, and I was able to sell the both of them.
Wow.
And it was honestly, both of those were experimental, and I did the best that I could. I had just graduated film school. I was 22 when I had filmed those. And I sold them like at 23. And that was a humongous learning experience. And so a year after that, in 2017, I was like, no, let me do this properly. Let me actually, like, now that I know how to make it and produce it and also sell it, let me see what I can do. And so Bree's Bake Off Challenge came about because I love baking shows and cooking and things like that. But I also wanted to create something really positive, because I knew that family movies are something that isn't always made all the time by indie producers.
Uh-huh.
So I created this character, Bree, and she's competing in a bake-off challenge at her school. It's a very wholesome family movie. And yeah, the way it came about, it like, I did everything that you should in a way. And by that, let me explain. Like, I wrote the script, and then I had a bunch of people read it. I had actually a friend that writes for Disney read it and gave me feedback. Like, I got the feedback, and getting feedback is really scary, actually, because,
Really scary, yeah.
they're criticizing your work. And then I did that. And then for pre-production, I actually thought it was going to be a shoestring thing again. Like, it was just going to be me and like less than 10-person crew. And the more that I talked about it, the more that I shared the project, the more people got involved. And honestly, thinking back, I don't know how this happened. It's like a miracle, but like by the end of the day, we had over 100 people on set and in the crew, and just partake in the making of this thing.
You're very fortunate. There are people in the industry working for 10, 15, 20 years who don't have the success that you have. How do you account for getting out of film school and then, doing one project and selling, doing another one. I mean, people talk about, oh, look at you, you're an overnight success. Well, it did take 5 years. No one is an overnight success.
Right.
What's your secret? What do you think did it? You were in the right place at the right time. You're good looking. I mean, what is it?
Um,
Obviously, you're talented.
Honestly, for Breeze Bake Off Challenge, it was planned. So when I when I made my first two, I made the plan. Did I know it was going to take 5 years? Absolutely not. But I knew. I was like, I'm going to make a family comedy film. I'm going to include these positive things that I really want to incorporate. And I'm going to try my best to get, a bunch of things to make it as high quality as possible. And I aimed really, really, really high, like super high. And, reality strikes. And then I basically, like, it is what it is. Like, what you see is what I came up with. And for anyone listening that's like an entrepreneur, filmmaker, creator, artist of any sort, honestly, the biggest thing that I've learned in the past 10 years, because, I moved to LA when I was 18 and I'm 28 now. So
Okay.
10 years, this 10-year journey, it's been interesting. I would honestly say that you have to go for it. And I'm going to say this other thing too, actually, that I don't really talk about it, but I will with you guys. My mindset is that I don't know if I'm going to live, next year, or like, we don't know how much time we have
Right? Life is
on this
fragile.
earth. Yeah. And I'm a now kind of girl. Like, if I want to do something, like, what can I do to get it done now? Because I don't know if it's from, like, I don't know where I got that mindset, honestly. I think maybe my family or my parents, I don't know, but they've always instilled, like, now is the time is now. And in the movie, instead of now, we say meow. So the time is meow.
Now, I mean, I think that that's the greatest point is you consider yourself an entrepreneur. You created, you've helped, get this funded. You understand all these different nuances to this process. So now let's talk about Breeze Bake Off Challenge. Tell us about it. Yes.
Breeze Bake Off Challenge, it's a family comedy. So if there are family members listening and with kids and loved ones, the whole family can watch from home on their wonderful couch with popcorn and, a cocktail or not. And it's about Bree. So Bree is an aspiring 12-year-old baker, and she hears of the spring bake-off happening at her school, and she wants to do everything she can to win first place. But then she's faced with her arch nemesis slash bully, Vanessa. And so the two of them basically go head to head. They go at it. It's a battle of the cake mixes, if you will. And it's super fun. I mean, the cast, we actually, this is also a surprise. We actually got over 500 submissions
Wow.
for our indie film. And that was a shock because, me and my producers were like, oh, we'll see what we can get, kind of thing. But the word just spread, and I had people from LA and New York and even Florida want to fly down to shoot with
Wow.
us. So Breeze Bake Off Challenge is definitely the new fun family comedy film that I would love families to get together and watch. It's super fun, and I don't know, I think it's cute.
Were there ever any dark moments? Did you ever feel like quitting?
Oh yes,
I mean,
yes.
Dave, she moved
Woo.
to 18 years old. I mean, come on now. Starting out in these little roles and seeing these different things, and finally opportunity comes. We all have dark moments, Dave,
I
especially
just
here
want
in
people to
Canada.
understand that it's normal, to go through it, but you persevered. You don't give up. Some people give up.
No, and also too, so we shot it in June of 2018, and then the pandemic happened. And the pandemic honestly slowed everything down, and it was really difficult. I honestly thought of selling a body part at one point to get this movie done. It was really hard. I didn't, don't worry. But those dark, like, thoughts and just insecurities definitely came over me. But when the pandemic happened, that was 2020, and that was already 3 years after the movie was shot. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I need to finish this. How do I finish this?
That's the
And
point of no return.
yeah, exactly. And luckily, I think with the help of just my network and the people that I've been able to work with in LA, one day at a time, we were able to pull our resources together and get it done. And, a miracle happened on one day. Like, I looked at the timeline, it was 100 minutes and it was done.
Wow.
And
So how did you get distribution with HBO Max for an independent. That's not much. That's not very known, right? Especially for HBO Max. I mean, I think you're seeing it sometimes on Netflix and Amazon, but not as much on HBO Max, right?
No, it is definitely rare. I will say it's with all the companies and pitching your own film to sell, I will say that it's nerve-wracking because I have to all of a sudden like go from writer director to businesswoman. I have to pitch myself in the movie, and it's a whole different kind of mindset with that. And you have to think
And you do a
of
great job, by the way.
thank you, Patrick.
And don't forget, the
Um,
Academy Awards really gave you a shot in the arm when Will Smith's movie, which was an
I
independent,
know.
and now it's like, okay, mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. So, with HBO Max, honestly, I did a whole bunch of cold calls, cold emails, network. Hey, who do you know? Hey, can you do this? Hey, this is what I have. And one thing led to another, and yeah, and it landed on HBO Max. So it wasn't one
Yeah.
of those like it was truly
Yeah.
like a surprise.
So what's
Well, I'm
now
excited
next
because
for
we're
you?
making.
Are you gonna stay as a director, or are you gonna want to act still as well?
Oh no, so I'm definitely gonna keep directing. I have my next three features lined up, like script writing wise. I know what I want to do next, and I've laid it out, and I have my plan. In acting wise, I've been asked to act a little bit, and I may toy with it in a short film first. It's actually been a while since I've acted. Honestly, I feel like 8 years, 8 to 10 years, because I really started directing 8 years ago. So you may see me on screen, and if you do, then it's my own script, though.
So it'll be
So
kind of like Tyler Perry, right? Tyler Perry throws himself in certain things at times and other things not when he's directing, even though he has where he's an actor too. Some films it's just Tyler Perry behind the camera. So I don't
yeah,
you never know what's going to happen. You build your own production company like Tyler Perry, you can do whatever you want, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
and
it.
that's a beauty.
And especially as a Latina, you see it as a huge opportunity, right? You see it as well. Now, are you with Breeze Breakout Challenge? Do you see yourself? How are you carrying that for Latina directors? How do you see yourself now? Where do you want to see yourself as an entrepreneur and everything? Where do you see yourself going?
Oh my gosh. So the beauty with filmmaking is that I can really go anywhere. So directing and winning an Academy Award, that's happening basically. I'm just gonna put that out there in the future. I don't know how long that's gonna take and which script per se, but that's in my future. I'm
They
just putting
see,
it out there.
see, that's pretty impressive, Dave. We've had a lot of actors and directors that have not put out Academy Award. I think she's going to get it. I
Of
believe
course,
that.
she's
I
gonna. You
see.
got to see it to believe it.
I had.
To see
So
it.
it's interesting. I wouldn't have predicted if I looked at one of the biggest stars that was a semi-known celebrity and then became really big would be Tiffany Haddish. She was on my show
Love her.
before that happened. And then I even look at Jasmine Brown was on my show before. Now Jasmine, was in the Scream movie. So there's just different people out there that, oh my God, well, they had a break. It was pretty decent, and then bam. But if you have that mindset, it's going to happen. All right, Dave has a caregiving question, and I have a feeling that Emily at one point has dealt with this or knows of somebody dealing with this. Go ahead with your question, Dave.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for the film that's coming out about me because that Will Smith moment was a big one. I became a caregiver just when I was minding my own business 25 years ago. My wife had a headache, turned into a stroke. She lost her speech, became paralyzed on one side. And, for a couple of years, we didn't know if we were going to make it. We didn't know if we were going to stay together. She was very angry and going through grief. And then finally, we just came to an awareness that you play the cards you're dealt. And she said, if I'm still alive, God must be not finished with me yet. So she became her old self again, and our love was rekindled. And I started going on television and speaking on stages. I'm writing my fourth book now about how caregivers can stay alive because the stress kills them. I believe everyone is going to become a caregiver eventually. You're going to become one, you're going to need one. I started caregiverdave.com to help caregivers get through it. Has caregiving touched your life? And do you know anybody who is giving care to anybody? Have you given care to anybody?
Absolutely. So being the youngest of four and just we're a big Latin family, we always take care of each other. And
course.
my older siblings have definitely been somewhat of another mom to me. So I always say that I have three moms because they're always just, like, have you eaten? Have you done this?
Right.
And nowadays my grandma is getting in her 80s. I think she's turning 78. And we all have to help and caregive and just give whatever we can. And that is one of the reasons, like with the pandemic and everything, I fly back and forth between LA and DC now because that's where my family is. And
Mm,
family is really, really important to me, and seeing my parents. And luckily, my parents are healthy, but we definitely help each other
sure,
in every way that we can. And we have to, it's like
sure.
it's the family. So caregiving is definitely really
Familia.
important. Yes, yes.
Exactly.
Good. Don't ever change. Good for you.
So, Emily, so Breeze
you.
Bake Off Challenge is available now on HBO Max? All
It
right.
is. It is. We've gotten.
Are they going to play it on the HBO channels as well, or just Max? Or they will
Yes, yes. They will eventually put it on channels. But yeah, right now it's on HBO Max. And yeah, we're working on the international forefront as well. So that is all coming. It's more to come.
I already
So,
know. We're going to see an Academy Award for you someday, and I'll be on the red carpet. And say, hey, by the way, because that's a goal of mine now, is I'm going to be hopefully covering the big events as I continue as the number.
yes,
I'm the top 12 celebrity podcaster in the world according to FeedSpot. Went from
absolutely
16 to
amazing.
12 in a year, so I keep getting major celebrities ranked above other people. So I'm in that same trajectory as yours, but you're doing such an amazing thing, and we appreciate you coming on. And so, where can we follow you? Are you on social media? People check you out.
Yes, I am. You can find me on Instagram, but also TikTok, and it's The Momentum. And I coined it with the word the momentum, but with an EM at the end. And you can kind of, oh, there you go, see the momentum.
I see it. You're very good at branding too. That's how you got the
Thanks.
deal. Exactly. All right. Well,
I gotta think about these things.
all right, appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank
Emily.
you so much. I had a great time. Thank you.
Take care. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. See ya. Bye. All right. You're listening and watching the Caregiver Dave Celebrity segment, and we'll be back in just a moment.
So Nick, did we forget anything? You know, I think we're missing one cable. You know what I mean? No. Can I help you guys? What the? Where are we going, fellas? What the? Hey guys, what's going on?
So come to BPTV, where we have everything you need to make great TV shows, including the cables.